Good evening, folks. It is Radio Dead Air Tech Q&A. You've got questions. We've got guesses. I'm Nash. I've been doing Radio Dead Air for ages. In addition to that, I'm also an IT professional. With me, as always, my producer, Mike Gearman, who is also an IT. We're taking your questions. If you want to hear something, send it to if you have a tech question for me and Mike, you can send that to requests at radiodeadair.com. Like it says on the screen, we can help you out. Fuck. It's a great way to start things off. All right. So what happened was I was trying to start the show tonight, and my audio software that I use for this, it's Wavelink. It connects to my Stream Deck. It connects to my mic, all that. That's what I started using tonight, and I noticed it said there's an update for it. So I was like, okay. And I've been having pretty good track record with the updates to this. This one I did not, because they updated from from Wavelink 2 to Wavelink 3. It's a completely different interface. It doesn't transfer over any of the settings. It completely fucked up everything. And I'm like, why didn't you warn me? Why didn't the installer say, well, we're going to change all the shit. Don't install this yet. But no, they did not do that. So I had to... And then it didn't want to uninstall, which was also fun. It's like, no, you'll have me forever. You'll have me forever. So I had to go back and find a way to uninstall it and then reinstall it. And as you can see, when we started the stream tonight, it didn't, the settings, it forgot, OBS forgot the settings, and hi. Anyway, hi, everybody.
So hi, Nash. How are you doing?
Well, anyway, I'll mention this because I'm there very early stages of doing it, but it is kind of cool. I decided there's going to be an update to Elite Dangerous soon, so I decided to get out my button box again. And if you don't know what a button box is, it's a custom controller for like a sim racing game, sim flying game, sim space flight game. And this is a rough way of doing it, but I'll put it over here so y'all can see it. I have it. It works right now, and I had to already redo it because let me put it on the screen so y'all can see. There it is. And you can get a look at it here. It's nice, right? It's got customs. I can change the labels if I want. Mechanical switches. It's very nice. It's tactile. It's a neat thing I did for fun. But there are some issues with it. I upgraded the interface that it uses to connect the windows, which is a little hey, I can show you. It's this thing covered in wires right here that I yanked out of the heart of it. This little circuit board here is a microcontroller and setup that connects to Windows. It's a game controller board. Essentially, this is like what's inside of your Xbox controller or whatnot, something like that. This is a custom one, and you can add your own stuff and mess with it. I had a cheaper, older one that's called a USB encoder, which was made for fighting games, but it still works for this purpose. You can make a button box out of it. Trouble was, it didn't like recognizing two buttons pressed at the same time, which you kind of need if you want to do like multiple button combinations. In Elite Dangerous has a lot of commands, so you need a lot of buttons. And the other problem was the original encoder I used. How it works is it runs a 5-volt charge through all of the buttons. Okay, there's a 5-volt. And in order to indicate a button is pushed, when you push the switch, it closes the connection to 5 volts. So when that connection is closed, the computer says, that button was pushed. And then there's a ground line that runs separate. Well, the button box that this interface I'm using switches that around. Instead of using the 5-volt connector being connected to indicate a button push, this uses the ground connection. So when a switch connects to ground, then it recognizes a button press. Which, if you're just straight up swapping button to button, that's no problem. It's just, the switch is a switch. But when you have LEDs, that's a problem because LEDs are polarized. Well, not polarized. They have a positive and negative, cathode and an anode. If you put an LED in backwards, you're going to have a bad time. If you ground the anode of an LED, you're going to have a bad time. So what I had to do was I had to replace the buttons that have lights built into. Hi, Charlie. You want to come help? I had to replace the buttons that had lights already built into them because, the anode and cathode swapped around. So I had to rewire that. And now the regular LEDs that I'll show you if you look at the image here, when I push the LED, the ones up top, those just light up. That I just had to switch the wires around. I didn't have to replace them. So I got it up and running and it was nice. But then I showed it off on Reddit, which was a bad idea. Someone on Reddit said, "Hey, that's neat. It looks really cool. Wouldn't it be better if you could get those LEDs at the top to stay on all the time?" And I'm like, well, I can't do that because they're momentary switches. And if I could do it I would have to do it with like relays but if I just got RGB LEDs and wired them the same way the buttons were wired, and then when you push the switch, instead of the light turning on, the light's always on, but when you turn the switch, the light turns white, so you pushed it. That I could do, but that would be a lot of wires. So how would I set that up? Well, I mean, I guess I could do it. What? Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Now I thought, well, I guess I'd have to get to that would be too many wires. That would be every single light would have 4 wires on it. Would have a ground wire, would have a one for each of the cathodes. That would be so many wires. I mean, this thing already has way too many wires. I could barely get the enclosure closed. This is too many wires. But what if I made my own PCB for the LEDs? Then I wouldn't need so many wires. So, now there were 2 ways you can do this. There's the more expensive way, which can run you up to $50, $60 depending, is you can go to a company like PCBWay and they will send them a file. They will print you a custom PCB. So if you want to, make a circuit board, they'll print it out for you. They'll do it on their machines. But that's expensive and it takes a long time. There's another way to do it, which is a lot cheaper, but it's also, the PCB is a little more limited because you can only have one side. Like some PCBs these days, you could have both sides have circuit traces on them, which separate them so you have wires crossing and it's no problem. Then you have multi-layer, which are what you use for your motherboards and video cards. Anything inside a computer has a multi-layer PCB, which means the circuit boards are actually separated by different layers, and they can run multiple wires all sandwiched together, and they're really expensive to do. But you can do a very simple way, which is the ye olde way, the 1970s, 1980s electronics way, before surface mount. No, etching.
Okay.
What you do is, it only works on one side, but you get these boards that have a copper coating on them on top of a substrate. And copper reacts to ferric chloride, which is an acid. So what you do is you take a design and you transfer it to the board. And these days they do it with laser jet toner. You can actually do it with marker if you want. You take a magic marker, you could draw a circuit board on one of these damn things. But you can make a complicated design with laser jet toner because the acid will not eat through that. And you coat the copper with that layer. Pretty much, it's kind of like, remember iron-on transfers from way back in the day when you got like an iron. You take the paper, you press it down on the copper layer, and then you run an iron over it. And there's thermal transfer paper that makes it easier to do, and then you peel it off, and the ink toner has transferred to the copper layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this design here, I got on the screen, and transfer it to a copper substrate, then run it some ferric chloride over it, which will dissolve all the copper on that layer except what's covered by the inkjet toner. Then you go back over it with some acetone, which dissolves the inkjet toner but leaves the copper fine, and you have a circuit board. It's just copper traces along there. The only problem I didn't figure out when I was doing this was the way these little red switches work, the momentary, I'll try to show you one. I've got one here. The way these little momentary switches work, these little toggle switches, I love them because they're classic, you know, they're the old toggle switch, like, you know, from the old like sci-fi shit with these toggle buttons. The problem is I'm going to see if I can get this to focus. Will you focus? Focus. God damn it, focus. You, I know you can do this. You're just fucking with me right now. I'll let everybody see. There is almost. Let me see if I can just sort of. All right. Almost. Okay. You can kind of see there's 6 little lugs on the bottom that you connect wires to. When you push it this way, the lugs on this side connect. And when you push it this way, the lugs on that side connect. So if I want the lights, when I do this, when I push it up, if I want the light above it to come on, I have to put the wire to the bottom. And if I push it down, and I want the light at the top at the bottom to come on, I have to push the wire to the top because it's wired back. That's just how the switches work. So I noticed I couldn't make that work with this because I would cross over traces, which you can't do on this. There's no. So I figured out a simple way to deal with that, and that's I'm going to run Bodge wires on the other side, and they will be the traces. Which is how they used to do it back in the day when all we had, and you could open up like old computers, like an old, like really old shit and old, like Walkmans and shit and radios and effects pedals. You open them up and look in there. They only have single layer, one-sided circuit boards. Very simple, very cheap. If you want connections on the other side and not to bridge, you flip it over and they have like these little straight wires that just connect 2 points. It's not pretty, but it works just fine. This will fit in the box without like 20 billion wires being added to the setup. And I've got BCG, that's blue, cyan, green, yellow, red, magenta. And when I'm not pushing any buttons, those are the colors that'll be displayed. When I push the button, the rest of the LEDs connect, and that turns them white because RGB LED, you put all 3 together, you get a white. So this, I'll be messing with this later. It's relatively cheap comparatively. I'm not have to ship it off to like freaking China. I already had a bottle of ferric chloride I hadn't used on the porch. I just had to get these little copper plates and some latex gloves because I don't want to dissolve my fingers because ferric chloride will eat through you. In Soviet Russia, ferric chloride eats through you. So I'm a mess with all that just because I got the idea in my head, damn it. And it's just, you know, it'll be neat to do. Also, I have to rework the power because every LED you have turned on adds 20 milliamps. As it is right now, I have 5 LEDs turned on. with the box as it exists, and at all times. And that's 100 milliamps of power. With all the LEDs turned on, that would be 26 LEDs, so about 520 milliamps. And the interface board is USB 2.0. So if I tried to run more than 500 milliamps through that board, I'll set it on fire. So what I'm going to have to do is I've got a separate little breadboard that I have added to here. And because I'm plugging it into a USB 3.0 connection rather than 2.0, USB 3.0 can handle up to 1 amp of draw. So what I'm going to do is directly from the interface, from the USB wire that goes into the box, I'm going to, instead of sending it directly over to the circuit board, I'm going to send it over here to this little breadboard. And this is where the LEDs will draw power from and the board. So that way the LEDs can draw directly from the USB connection and it won't send power straight through that little circuit board and set it on fire. I can draw up to 1 amp instead of 500 milliamps. Electrical shit. Yay. You have to do a lot of math for this shit. So I kind of know things, too many things. Anyway, you want to know who doesn't know things?
The internet?
Yeah. A little website called Tech for Gamers. You may have seen this spreading around social media this past week. And a lot of you read this and you went, oh, fuck you. Super. I'm never upgrading. I'm going to learn Linux right now. Okay. Number one, bullshit. Okay. If you were going to learn Linux because of shit what Microsoft had done, you'd have already fucking learned Linux. Let's be real. That's like saying, I'm not going to break my New Year's resolution and I'm going to stick to my diet. You're lying. You know you are. So this article came out and everyone was spreading this around. I want to stress, this is not real. First of all,
and it's so not real. It got relabeled Windows 14 later, and that's still not real.
What happened was PC World put out an AI generated article that speculated on what Windows 12 would look like. And then Tech for Gamers took that and spat out an AI generated article as though these were not rumors and speculation. They were they were truth. They were facts. This is what's going to happen. All right. The article says stuff, just to say, you know, this is not true. It says that Windows 12 is going to be fully modular. It's going to be running on a subscription. AI is going to be built into everything. And it will require an NPU to run, a CPU equipped with an NPU to run Windows 12. You'll have to have one. Let's start there because that's the immediate point. You know, this is bullshit. NPU. It stands for Neural Processing Unit, which is also bullshit. What it is it's the same thing that a graphic accelerator card, AI accelerator does. It's basically a secondary graphics processor that doesn't output graphics. It just crunches numbers because graphics is a lot of math calculations. That's why the NVIDIA is destroying itself because they switched to anyway. So some companies like the past 2 or 3 years have started touting CPUs with neural processing units built in. Number one, very few of these exist. I have a list of them and it's like very limited. Most of them are for laptops. And the reason why is if you're doing AI shit on the desktop, which most serious developers are because you want more power, you use an AI accelerator card. You don't rely on one that's built into the CPU. So most of them are made for mobile.
And ideally you use something, if you're involved in that kind of nonsense, that you can replace and upgrade, which you can't do with a laptop.
Yeah, so if you're trying to do this stuff on a laptop, you can't plug in an accelerator card. You're stuck with whatever's on the motherboard. So it kind of makes sense that they add this crap. I mean, it's not a good thing, but they add it there. So most NPU processors are laptop based. There are a few that are desktop based. They're the Ryzen AI series. And number one, most of them, as of right now, are OEM parts. That means these come in pre-built systems from HP, Lenovo, Dell. And the reason they're OEM parts is they suck. Ryzen became one of the biggest CPUs because AMD had a really cool idea. It was called chiplets. Instead of having one single slab of silicon be the entire CPU, and that's very expensive because if you want your CPU to be fast, you have to use the fastest process, but then you have stuff that doesn't need to be fast on that same slab, and it's wasting space. Every tiny
it's wasting, it's more than wasting space, it's wasting production time on that high density line where you can go, hey, I need this stuff here needs to be as fast as possible, put in a high density line, and you go, this stuff over here can be 3, 4, 5 generations back. We can just get that on any old production line. High yield, put them in and just go, okay, slower bit. Doesn't need to talk to anything fast. Fast bits. You save a lot of money.
Yeah, they split up the chip into chiplets. Inside of Ryzen, you'll find 2 or 3 chips right now. There are 1 to 2 chiplets that are just the cores. They're just the workhorse of the CPU, and they put those on the fastest process possible, the latest technology, so that they go super fast. But you have the input output, and you have the memory controller, and you have other various components on the CPU that are necessary, like the PCIe controller. Those don't need to be on the latest process to still be a viable microchip. So they just separate those out and they put those on the slower production lines where it's cheaper to make them. Even better, if you put everything onto one chip and the chip is faulty, one CPU, that whole CPU might, if the memory controller on that thing doesn't work, well, the whole CPU is gone. Or if the CPUs if some of the cores don't work, well, I have to rebadge this whole CPU as something slower. And you waste money because your expensive stuff is getting put to waste. Ryzen, only the chiplets are on the fastest possible process, and they're small. So that means more yield per single wafer, and more of them are viable. So if the older processes are better in such that you have a higher yield on older processes because they've gotten better at producing them. So you waste less overall. It makes Ryzen cheaper to produce, which is where AMD won, which is why they were able to price Ryzen so low compared to Intel stuff. In addition to just being cutthroat pricing, they were saving money and they passed it on to you for a while.
Yeah.
And with the NP, and the reason I'm talking about all this is the Ryzen NPU processors are monolithic, which means the entire thing, it's more expensive to produce and it's slower because you have all the components there and they run hotter. You can't run as much power through them and you can't jack the clock up as high. With chiplets, you can raise the clock speed because not everything is on the same die. And you can put different power to different parts of the chips, and it's better that way. So the monolithic, the AMD AI Pro chips or the AI CPUs, the ones that can actually fit in a desktop system, are one single slab of silicon. They can't go as fast as the normal ones. Their cores, the number of cores they can use tops out at 8 cores, 16 threads. My system right now is a 12 core, 24 thread system. I would have to downgrade to get one of these stupid CPUs, and it wouldn't run as fast. So to come back to the point of this, If Windows 12 has an NPU requirement, that means Microsoft is expecting everyone to either shift to laptops, everyone, every single person, or they're expecting people who are required desktops to go picking on eBay for CPU pulls from OEM systems for secondhand CPUs. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, there's more. Like, for example, the fully modular. No. You sweet summer child. No. Windows, fully modular. Partially modular, I could see from one release to another.
Right.
Fully modular. If they started on it today, I would expect a fully modular Windows OS to be Windows 15.
I mean, maybe they've been working on this quiet. Maybe, let's just for the benefit of the doubt say they've been working on it quietly, right? And we just didn't know about it. However,
Microsoft's spending money. Sure.
However, they have no internal testing team. By and large, Windows users right now who are getting updates, y'all are the beta testers. That's why they have the Windows Insider program. You're trying to be a beta test. There are so many hardware configurations out there.
You're unpaid employees of Microsoft.
Microsoft doesn't have the internal testers to set up all these hardware configurations to make sure Windows won't crash on it. We haven't seen an insider beta of this modular OS, and we are 6 months away from the potential release for this to come out in 2026.
Yeah, no.
If Windows 12 were to come out this year, and it's not going to, but if it were, it would be coming out in October, and I'll tell you why. That's the start of Q4. It's the latest you can release an operating system and expect it to be anyone to adopt it, because you release it early in Q4, you get it out to manufacturers, you get it out to you print it, it goes gold, you get the files
out
online.
To the OEMs.
And then you have October, November, December to get things ramped up for holiday shopping season, because you want that new OS on computers so people will be in the store and say, hey, look, the new computer with Windows 12. I was going to buy a computer for the holiday. I'll get that one because it's got the latest operating system. That means we have about 6 months-ish, 6 or 7 months before October. There is no way they could beta test a modular operating system, which would change how Windows works so fundamentally. There's no time. There's no way. We haven't seen hide nor hair of this thing. They would have to get it out to insiders today, and it would be, even still, it would be a disaster. You need a year or more of testing. So that's not happening. The next one was...
It's the kind of thing, a few years ago, Microsoft was saying, hey, we're going to do a brand new file system. It's going to replace NTFS. It's going to do it. Never materialized. Why? Because it just didn't make it past testing. Everyone who was using it was like, no, this is not really adding enough.
The next one is subscription-based. That is such a change to how Windows functions that, again, 6 months to implement that? Bullshit.
Not just 6 months to implement it, 6 months to socialize it, to convince people that they actually want to do this. Once you start hitting people in the pocketbook, there's a lot of people who are still upset about the fact that Office is subscription based in a lot of ways. And they're like, I used to pay for Office once every 5 years and I was good. Now you want to pay 3 times as much effectively over 2 years? No.
And the whole AI focus thing, you're going to replace Windows search and Windows settings and everything with context-based LLM stuff in the computer on everything. in 6 months. How has Copilot been working out, Mike? What are people's feelings about Copilot right now, Mike?
Well, I hate it.
Yeah, everyone hates it.
I can't speak for everyone. I'm sure there's statistically someone out there in the world who loves Copilot, and not in a creepy way like some of the AIs have had issues with, but in a useful way. I just don't know that I would like to meet that person.
And the last reason is that there is an update for Windows 11 coming this year, but it's not for desktop users. It's for ARM. Microsoft is focusing on Windows on ARM because those are cheaper CPUs, more energy efficient. Laptops are moving over to them. Especially right now with cost issues, they want to switch over to that. And it might be viable at some point, but Windows 12, no, this, I can understand some people not understanding these aspects about Windows and losing their mind because someone said it with authority. But this entire article is horseshit.
Yeah, I mean, there is a Windows 11. There is a Windows 11 26H2 that will come out in September as per spec. But that's just going to be supposed quality of life updates at this point.
Yeah.
You know, in addition to the standard monthly, we found this critical bug that's going to let people steal all your credit card information again, that they do.
But and let's just say, beyond everything else, if some form of Windows 12 does come out this year, Windows 11 doesn't hit end of life until 2029. And that's just this version of Windows 11. If 26H2 at the end of this year will technically be a new version. So that one will hit end of life in 2030. So I know a lot of people went this and panicked, and there was a whole lot of bullshit. It was social media being social media. This is bullshit. If anyone tries to show this to you, tell them it is bullshit. It is, and you know why it exists. AI making an article based on AI making an article. Garbage all the way down. What's the old GIGO? We used to call it garbage in, garbage out programming term back in the day. All right. So speaking of,
describes AI mostly.
Yeah. Speaking of, we have others to talk about because you may have heard this week, and this popped off today. OpenAI and Anthropic have been going back and forth with the Department of Defense. They can't seem to decide.
The article says Department of Defense, so let's go with Department of Defense for the first reason. For the second reason, you can't just change the name of a department like that. It has to be approved by Congress. So,
Mike, Sam Altman and the president call it the Department of War, Mike.
Well, they're wrong.
Mike. Yeah.
But them calling it the Department of War is just as effective as me declaring myself the sex god of Southern California.
I mean, these days you might actually be able to sell that shit. People are really dumb.
Someone make me a website. But yeah, so what this is a senior executive, a very senior executive at OpenAI said, basically just said, I read the contract between OpenAI and the Department of Defense, and I quit.
And this is the robotics lead, too. So this would be drones and shit?
Drones. And, there's things with pattern matching, which is the part of AI that I like, finding things where drones would be useful. Hey, look, we've got a guy. He was out on a sailboat he fell off the sailboat and they didn't notice because everyone else in the sailboat was drunk, and he's floating out in the sea somewhere. Let's send out some drones and find him. That I'm good with.
Yeah.
That useful. Taking imagery and going, hey, that's a cancer there. And the cancer going, I never would have made that call, but you are correct.
Except that hasn't been working. That's been shown that it doesn't understand what cancer is. But
it's a work in progress. It's the kind of thing that they should be doing instead of what they are doing.
Okay, Mike, do you know what? And I want to point out, this is uncorroborated, but I've seen reporting on this. Do you know what they're doing in Iran right now to deal with us using AI for targeting?
Painting aircraft silhouettes on the ground, and so they're bombing concrete. Yeah, I've seen people say
they're using the Roadrunner technique. They're painting a tunnel on the side of the mountain.
And I've seen reports of that, and I've seen reports debunking that. And let's touch back on that in a couple of weeks when we have better news on it. Maybe.
Yeah,
we'll probably have forgotten.
Yeah,
but so the fact that that what's her name here, Caitlin Kalinowski, said the decision was about principle, not people. And she still said she had deep respect for Sam Altman and the OpenAI team. So while I had some respect for her for standing up for what she believed in, lost a little bit there by saying she still respected Sam. I mean, you can still respect Sam. Sam's going to be going to jail in the next 5 years. That's my prediction. But yeah, she dropped because there weren't the contract didn't have the kind of red lines she wanted. They're saying, hey, you can't use these to kill people without at least humans reviewing things. They can't just go off on their own. You can't use it for massive data interception of American citizens. And she has a point. They shouldn't be, but.
Well, the fun part of this here is, and I'm sure everyone in the world understands this who have actually had experience with the AI, is it doesn't work. It pretends it's really good at seeming like it can do things. It's very good at pretending to appear. It makes answer-shaped answers.
Yes.
It makes fact-shaped output, which you can fool humans with things like that because we're stupid monkeys. You can't fool reality.
No.
Computerized Mad Libs. So trying to use this technology, as it were, to run a war, and, thank God we're not in trying to use this to be an actual combat thing is, no. I've also seen people saying this is how OpenAI is going to get by. It's going to be a government bailout via the Department of Defense. This contract is only worth $200 million, which sounds like a lot of money. $200 million. That sounds like a lot, until you realize that OpenAI needs hundreds of billion with a B to get by, because they're losing money each year. They are running right now on outside investments. They're courting people to dump money on them. And now, if you've been following Ed Zitron, God, you should follow Ed Zitron. He noted that their latest round of investments are in installments. They're not getting all that money up front anymore. They're having to get a little bit at it.
Prove you've done something, then you can get some more money. Then prove you've done some more, then you can get some more money. Oh, you didn't prove it? No money.
So right now, OpenAI is, people were dumping cash on them, but now they're putting some restrictions on that. Yeah, the NVIDIA deal that was supposed to be such a big thing that's dead. That's not happening. That's $100 billion. Uh-oh. And part of the problem is free money is drying up. Lines of credit are being exhausted. companies don't have any more investment to invest.
Yeah.
We're coming up on the limits. So, yeah, Oracle getting screwed on rent for a non-existent data center because Larry Ellison just sort of said, it's all right, it's fine. We'll finish it by this point of time, and they didn't finish it. So yeah, like Daryl said in the channel, they're paying rent on an empty lot at full price, at the full contract price of a data center. That's the money OpenAI invested in Oracle.
And Larry just spent a bunch of money buying something big. So he may be hurting. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah. The whole Warner Brothers thing. That's not final yet. We'll see if it is. I'm going to say right now, it's 75% chance it does go through. 75% chance based on what I see that Paramount actually gets Warner Brothers and it goes through like they want it. The other 25% is California's Attorney General wants to stop the deal. Potentially, so that's got to go to court. The EU has yet to weigh in. So there's a 20, and remember, the EU did stop NVIDIA from acquiring ARM. They shut that the fuck down. Even though NVIDIA is ostensibly an American company, they said, no, we're not going to let you do this. So it's not Paramount got downgraded. Well, their debt is junk debt. So because if this goes through, they will be $81 billion in debt. Well, but it's a bad situation. Regardless, I'm going to say it's like 25% doesn't happen, 75% it does. So that means Oracle's kind of fucked because this is essentially Oracle money they're playing with.
Yeah. Well, ERP will unfortunately survive. So, and if anyone is questioning why I said unfortunately there, this tells me one very crucial thing. You have never used an ERP system. If you had, you'd be going, yeah, that is unfortunate.
I got one more story this week, and there's one thing that is legendary in the gaming world, in the electronics world, and the internet, and that is don't give Nintendo a reason to sue you. Do not ever give Nintendo has been known to sue people literally out of existence. Well, not people, but companies. Maybe people too. We haven't checked. If you get in Nintendo's crosshairs, they will destroy you. They don't care. You do not screw with Nintendo. Well, you might remember late last week, the Supreme Court ruled that Trump's tariff powers, the law under which he was trying to capriciously give and take tariffs and just wheel and deal with them. The Supreme Court, even the 9 conservative member Supreme Court said, bro, you can't do that. Don't screw with the money.
Yeah. Well, a couple of them wanted to let him do it, but the majority said no.
So that means all of the tariffs that have been imposed so far are illegal. All the money collected has been collected under illegal rule. They do not have the power to collect that money from companies.
So they've got to refund it. Now, the court said, hey, you've got to refund this within a lower level court, the trade court. Said, okay, Supreme Court has decided you've got to refund this within a certain number of days. They came back and said, we can't. And they have a good reason. A lot of people online don't accept this reason. But they have a good reason. And I say this as someone who used to do programming that was in the same sort of neighborhood as what they have to do. The tariff system is largely set up to take in money and only occasionally refund it. And there's hoops you have to jump through, and there's processes that go on, and probably multiple levels of review that go on to say, okay, yes, you were correct. And sometimes court cases, and you were correct, you were owed this money back. And then they throw in those processes and you get the money back. They were not expecting, even though I guarantee you someone in there was going like, we should start programming for this now, and was told no by management. Said, we're going to have to refund $300 300,000, 300 million, a huge number, orders of magnitude more than they normally have to refund. If they had to do it by hand, they estimated it would take 4 million man hours. So they say, court, please, let us have 45 days to write our program, to test our program, and we'll issue the refunds. And Nintendo's going like, that's fine. We're still going to sue because this is how much money we think we are owed.
And it's not just a refund. It's a refund with interest.
Yes. Because they could have had this. Now, it's one of those things where it's a little strange because if they hadn't spent this money, there's no guarantee they would have kept this money in-house, earning interest on it themselves, but someone somewhere may have been. So that's the way it works. When the government screws up to this degree, which this is, that they now, it's fascinating because Nintendo is not the only one. They're the one we talk about because we're a tech gaming show, but FedEx is in there, Costco is in there, Revlon is in there. And you say Nintendo, I say, the Revenge of the Mary Kay Commandos is going to be on the government. And if anyone got that reference other than my brother who is in the channel, I'll be surprised.
So what this means is that these whole tariffs, not only are they illegal and all the money that's been collected has to go back, between the interest and trying to figure out how to refund people, Donald Trump has cost us a whole lot more money with no profit.
Yeah. Now he's trying to put new tariffs in, but so far a collection of states, I think about 23 of them, have said, no, those aren't legal either. We're suing.
And even if he does, even if those are ruled legal, he has a limit of 150 days.
Yeah. Which, 150 days. What happens about 5-6 months from now, Nash? Okay, and the article says more than 24 states, so I'll say 25, 26.
Yeah.
I think it was 23 when I first saw it, and then other states have now joined in.
So yeah, this is don't expect this to actually be good for you and me. I'm not expecting any sort of trickle down here.
Yeah, I'm not expecting to open my mail and get a random check from Amazon saying, hey, all these vendors decided that you purchased from while these tariffs are going on, decided to refund you $12 each. So here's a check for $60.
Good for all those little businesses that I like there's I forget Wilbur. I think it's Wilbur's. I'm probably thinking wrong, but it's a guy on Blue Sky. I'm gonna have to look it up because my brain is terrible with names. He makes these really cool anti-fascist Star Trek things. Like he's got an anti-fascist Star Trek pin. He's got like the Union episode of Deep Space Nine. He's got a poster for that with Chief O'Brien on it. It does all these cool shit, and him and everybody else has been getting like stickers and pins from. They've had to pay higher tariffs. So I hope he and everybody else, those little companies, they deserve to have their money back. Just don't expect you and me are going to get fuck all out of it. All right, let's get to our questions this week. You can send those to requests at radiodeadair.com. Let's see who is first. Actually, this is more of a comment, but I'll take it. Hey, Nash and Mike, thank you for your advice on whether or not I should buy a replacement battery. I decided to go for it, went to the Apple store to get a new one. Long story short, thanks to a series of unfortunate events on their part, they accidentally sold me a fresh new battery for free. They ended up marking the sale an error on their part and told me to have a good day. I still can't believe my good luck. Thank you again, Blake.
Well, there you go. Glad that worked out for you.
I will say that as much as I kind of hate Apple's practices and the walled garden, and I don't like how hard it is to fix their stuff, I will say where Apple has excelled in, and they kind of want to make this sort of their prestige brand, is customer service. They don't like making their customers angry if they can't get away with it. And when it comes to getting stuff fixed, they will try to err on the side of helping you. Not always, but you do get the Genius Bar has a reputation for a reason. So good on you, Blake. I hope that worked out for you. I'm glad that worked out for you, actually. All right, next one is from Daryl, and I have to check I forgot to check a price on something before I do this. What is the cost on this?
Want me to read the question while you're looking that up?
Yeah, go ahead and read the question.
Hello, Nash and Mike. You know me and know I have a decent collection of audio equipment. However, my current circumstances make using those impossible, as I don't have the space for not just my mixer and boom arm, but even my backup Scarlett Solo. So I need something compact like a USB headset that can be used for recording voiceover and possibly doing some streaming. Are there any USB headsets that have decent microphones for around $100, flexible? Most reviews I can find are all about the headphone quality. I'd be open to any of the solutions that align with the highly limited space and large amounts of background noise here.
All right, let me let's start off by saying that going from a condenser mic like this to a headphone mic, there really is no contest. A condenser mic is always going to be better. That being said, there are some options. Probably, and I'm not going to recommend buying this because the company is just atrocious and their software is atrocious. People like the Razer gaming headset mic, but it's just all around Razer's practices and how their software works and all of it. I wouldn't get anyone to buy that. So just under that, oddly enough, the HyperX Cloud 3 gaming headset, if you are potentially, it goes for about between $60 and $70. And they're out on the website, but you can find it other places. The mic is supposedly really good. Like we have the problem here that the difference between a condenser mic and a dynamic mic. Condenser mics are powered. They have deeper bass, fuller sounding. This is what most recordings are done on. This is what if you hear people in a radio studio, this is what they're using. Recording studios use. If you're on stage, use a dynamic just because it's easier to set up. It's easier to deal with because it doesn't require power. You just plug in and it works. But they're still generally tend to be inferior. And when you're talking about a little itty bitty mic program, like a microphone that's on a headset, there's only so much you can do. This one does pretty good. But in addition to this, I think you need to go a little past just getting the headset mic. What you really need to rely on here is to get a better overall sound quality out of this is you're going to have to lean more heavily onto plugins. I think you mentioned background noise was one of your concerns. Let's see.
So a SoundGate plugin would help.
Not just a SoundGate. First of all, you're going to need some way. I'm assuming you're going to be using this with OBS Studio. I presume OBS Studio is probably the best way of doing this if you're going to be doing it live. But you can use a VST plugin in anything, recording wise or whatnot. But if you're going to be doing it live, OBS is the best way of doing it. And also for recording there too. So OBS Studio via Discord with other people streaming. Okay. The first thing you're going to be looking at is a plugin for OBS that is called ATK Audio Plugin. Okay. This is free. It's open source. It's for OBS. It allows OBS to, on the fly, use VST audio plugins. This is very essential. Using this, you can add stuff to it. I would recommend Elgato has a free plugin. You don't have to pay for this. It's not anything else, but it's free. It's pretty powerful. Equalizer, yeah, EQ. Let me see. Equalizer VST download. Yes. Now again, this is listed on Elgato's website for their Wavelink stuff. You don't need to buy anything to make this work. Okay, these are just plain old VST plugins, and I'll put the link in the channel here for you too. These are plain old VST plugins. Don't cost a dime. All right. Some of these are from Elgato. Some of these are from other people as well. So they're useful. These are gates. These are audio equalizers. The equalizer can do a lot to get you close to where you want to be with a dynamic mic as opposed to a condenser. You're going to have to play with it though. And that's specifically this visual equalizer down here, the Elgato equalizer. It's pretty good. I use it. I use it here. The one, however, that I would consider an absolute essential, and though there is an on here, if you look, there's one that's a noise removal that's free from Elgato. That's pretty good. But there's one I would recommend paying for because it's just that freaking good. And it's from Wave. I'll put that in the channel here. It's from Wave's plugins. It's called Clarity VX. And they say AI powered noise. It's just using the same pattern recognition that we've been using for. It's not LLMs. It's a marketing term AI. So don't worry about that. Clarity VX is what I use. I'm going to demonstrate it right now, how well this works for live audio. Okay. This is how I sound with Clarity VX turned on. I've got the Clarity VX, and I also have a D-reverb on there too. It's also Clarity. This is what it sounds like. Now, here's what it sounds like when I turn them off. You hear that? You hear my my air conditioner in the background, and sounds terrible, right?
Maybe my fan and maybe some other stuff.
It's fucking awful, isn't it? Now I turn it back on. How does it sound now?
Good.
It's brilliant, right?
Yep.
Highly. It is so effective and useful. It's brilliant. It is one. If you have to spend money on one, this is one you should spend money on. There may be competitors for free. I don't know of them. All I know is this bastard works. Worth every freaking penny. Okay, and they have it on sale right now for like $40. So, as opposed to $200 as usual. So I got it on sale too. But super fucking good. It will clean up your audio like crazy. You have to play with it a little bit to get it where you want it to go. But once you get it there, I mean, you just heard the results. So if that's what you need, so my recommendation is you get the HyperX Cloud 3 for headset with mic. You get the ATK audio plugin for OBS. I should probably link to that.
And you're right at the $100 budget you were at with the two things.
Yeah, you're pretty close to that $100 budget there. There's the ATK plugin. You should get that as well to put in OBS. OBS is free. The plugin that lets you use VST plugins is free. The Elgato equalizer is free, and there's other. You can go and search for other plugins out there that people make for free, and they don't cost a dime. And I've got some of those too. I've got, let's see, my noise gate is called LoudMax. It works really well. It's not just a noise gate. That if I get too loud, it brings the audio back down. You've got a collection of VSTs. Okay, cool. So there's only so much you can do with a dynamic microphone. You're going to have limitations. You can get around. I think this will get you maybe 70, 80% of where you want to go. But limited by the hardware, but this is the best I could figure to tell you. But the Clarity VX it's amazing. The how well it does. I tried the Elgato one and it's clumsy. It doesn't work as well. The Clarity one, without the Clarity one, I'd have to run my computer with streaming and maybe playing games at the same time, just cranking out heat in the summertime. And I wouldn't be able to run the window AC. I would be dying. I would be absolutely dying. So the Clarity Waves Clarity VX is worth every freaking penny. Okay, next question on this one. Where is the thing? Hey, Nash and Mike and Katz. This is from Ethan. He says, since everything's about to get way more expensive, I decided to upgrade my phone as soon as I can. I'm on Android. What'd be your recommendation for price performance right now? I want to keep it under 600 if at all possible. Let's see. Yeah, and I don't know when the Pixel 11 is coming is the question. Let me see.
So the Pixel 10a right now has it's 500 or 284 with an instant trade-in, depending on where you get it. I'm looking at the Google site right now. You may be able to find cheaper somewhere. You may be able to find, somewhere between. I've never had luck with trade-ins, purely because when I go to do that, my phone is so old, they go, we'll give you $5 for it. Or I'm going in there because I don't have a trade-in anymore because my phone has completely died. It's either been lost, happened once, federal jury duty, or I got a new phone because the battery was expanding off the old phone. And I'm like, I can't in good conscience trade this in. I've got to put this in a burn bag and dispose of it.
Let's see. When is it going to come out? The reason I'm looking up the Pixel 11 is whenever a new August 2026. All right, that's a ways off. Whenever Google releases a new Pixel phone, they put a big sale on their older ones. So if you can wait but again, I don't know how prices are going to change. If we're talking about right now, Pixel 10a, I have it. I've got it right here. Let's get this. Just come here, phone. Come here. No, sorry, I've got a Pixel 9a. But if you can find 9a, the thing is, the 9a and the 10a, very little difference. They actually use the same processor. So not a huge upgrade between the 9a and the 10a. And let me see how much
the only reason I said the 10a is the 10a probably has a longer supported lifespan.
Yeah,
it'll receive
an extra year.
Receive patches and security fixes and things.
Let's see. The 9A is 500 at the Pixel store. Let me see.
I saw the 10A is 500.
And the 10A is also available potentially. So they're about the same, they're the exact same price. Get the 10A. Yeah, there's not any sort of advantage to getting the 9A really right now. So I wish I'd waited, but oh well. My phone broke. I needed a new one. My 7A, I screwed up the screen when I was fixing the bathroom. So, yeah. And I actually got, even with the screen screwed up, they gave me $75 for the 7. So I got to take that much off. And I got a deal through Google Fi, which is my phone service. So, yeah, right now, if you have to grab something powerful and money's a concern and you don't want to wait because everything is bad, it's probably if you got to replace some shit right now, replace it as soon as you can. I know it's bad. I know some prices are already bad and you're like, I can't afford it. Man, put that shit on credit if you have to, because it'll get worse later. It will get much worse later. Things are coming down bad. Between RAM and yes, my old phone was a victim of the bathroom hole. Yeah, well, I didn't drop it in the hole, but it picked up some moisture or something and the screen got screwed up. It still worked, but the screen had the LCD crystals were all, it was like there's like an ink stain on the screen. It's not how it worked. But anyway, between RAM issues and the Strait of is it Strait of Hormel? It's the Chile Strait. Over near Iran, between because that's where a whole bunch of trade comes through, between gas prices already spiking up like 50 cents in a day. Between all of that, do it now. It's just going to get worse. If you can get the 10A, get it as soon as you freaking can. That'd be my recommendation. There are others out there. I'm just speaking from personal experience. I've had pretty good experience with the Pixel phones generally, except for the one I dropped, which that was on me. Shattered the fuck out of it. But it got knocked out of my hand by an enthusiastic Labrador. What could I do? They do that sort of thing. All right, let's see. Last one. This is from Jeff. This came in late, so I haven't had as much time to look at it, but here we are. Hi again. So I've been playing with my mom's laptop, and I don't know what the issue is. It's an Lenovo IdeaPad 3 using Windows 11. She doesn't use it for much. If the computer has sat plugged in for a week in the most recent case, it will boot as normal and get to Windows. Today I got in, it was on for roughly 5 minutes. The computer froze, the screen blanked, and the image attached with the weird blue lines appeared. Let me show you the image. I'm sorry, I didn't send you the image. I'll show it to you. Oof. Yeah, save that. It's there. Save that there. Don't put it. Why you put it in the wrong place? Put it in the right place. I'm gonna send you. Not to. What are you doing? Stop that. Stop that.
But while Nash is trying to figure out how to send me an image, my first thought on this is going to be it's an overheat issue, because if it's sitting there doing nothing and it's okay, and then you try to do something and it goes, screw you, that my first thought is heat.
Yeah, check your email. I just sent you the image. See what it looks like. Yeah. Previously, it would rarely even get into Windows, and when it did, was enough to move the mouse around. That's about it. Even had the same issue happen when I was in BIOS. I looked up, and the screen had blanked in the BIOS. I'm at a complete loss at this point. Suspect it must be something hardware related. Yeah, it's definitely hardware, but I'm not sure where to look for it, and probably don't have the tools to fix it. Still, why it isn't working is bothering me more than that. Any thoughts? Be nice. Thanks in advance. Okay, Jeff.
Well, Jeff's in the channel says it cleaned the fans out already.
Okay.
It may be more than that, though. The Lenovo's are kind of bricky, so you may have to take it apart further and look for built-up gunge inside further. Just because modern laptops often use heat pipes and things to transfer the heat over to where the fan is to blow it away. But if too much crud builds up on top of that heat pipe, some of my work laptops, it's just like heat pipe goes like, I'm not going to heat pipe anymore. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Let's see.
These
are fairly recent. I was about to say, you might want to, if you feel like giving it a shot, to get in there and check the thermal paste. If you feel like it's worth it. I'm trying to find it. Here we go. Here's a teardown for an IdeaPad 3. The one thing I would be I would be a little cautious on about this, and here's a link to the video. Is this your laptop? It's like a magic trick. Is this your card? Yeah, the one thing I would be concerned of here is that Lenovo switched to using PTM, phase change thermal material, which is a little harder to clean off. And honestly, you shouldn't need to change it. Fortunately, this looks good. You can just get into most of it by opening up the bottom. There are screws on the bottom. So that's good. That looks simple to get into. There's not craziness going on there. Let's watch together. He gets the screws out. You don't have a screw. Okay, you got a screwdriver up there. Good man. All right, let's yeah, there's some clips and screws there. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it looks like the bottom comes right off, and there's your heat sink, and there's the heat pipe. You cracked it open before, clean the fans that way. Good. You might actually want to try to see if, you know what, if you've got it open and you've cleaned out the fans and you've cleaned out the gunk, I don't think that, since they use PTM on their laptops now, I don't think the thermal material is going to be it either. So swapping the thermal material might not do anything.
Okay, question, because you're in the chat.
Yeah.
You said you cleaned out the fans. Did you remove the fan and clean it out, or did you just clean it out in place? The reason I ask is because that interface between, mostly what I was talking about earlier is the interface between the heat pipe. I'm pointing at the screen. You can't see that I'm pointing. Okay. Yeah. The interface between the heat pipe and the fan can also build up gunk, and you might need to lightly, with a toothbrush, clean that off, because that will prevent heat transfer if too much stuff gets built up on that. I don't even, I want to like maybe recommend trying a little cheap $20 cooling pad to see if that makes any difference with it. But I'm not sure how much. Try it again. I use canned air. You might want to get in there with a brush, find your mom's toothbrush and get in there and clean it out really good. Get a lot of the grungy shit on there. No, Nash. No, this is for his mother. You don't use her toothbrush. Do you have a brother? Or a cousin you don't like? Use their toothbrush.
Yeah, it's. I will say it looks fairly easy to work. It looks fairly easy to work on, which is nice. But there's also it's all the motherboard. Yeah, I mean, like there's RAM you can replace, hard drive you can replace, battery you can replace, and the rest of it's all motherboard. So if something has happened to it, if there's a hardware damage at this point, yeah, the reason we're pretty sure it's hardware, because if it's doing this in BIOS, Windows hasn't even gotten a chance to load. Yeah. And
my next question, you didn't mention it, and I think you would have, but just to ask, is can you hear the fan running, and is it making any sort of stranger than normal fan noise? Because that fan looks like it's one of your standard 3-screw fans that uses a header that you could find a $10 replacement for. Obviously, they're unit specific, so you have to make sure you get the right fan. In case the fan itself is.
Yeah, unfortunately, with this laptop, if there is a hardware issue with this, it's the entire motherboard's got to go.
Yeah. Okay, you're saying it's really quiet normally. Do me a check next time you have it on. Check this. See if you can feel air coming out from the exhaust. Because if the fan can be perfectly clean, but if it's not moving, it's not doing anything.
That could be it too. Yeah, that and the fan. Unfortunately, the fan is a cheap replacement part. You can find a replacement for that fan. Like he's taking the fan apart right now. You can see. And this is from Uber Geeks, by the way. I want to give them credit for this. You can see he's taking the fan apart. That's a cheap part. That's a $10 to $20 part, if that. There he is. He's got it right there. That little fan right there, $10 to $20, easy peasy, no problem, easy to replace. So if the fan's not working really well, you might have a chance there. Otherwise, if this is a hardware problem with that motherboard, you're kind of up a creek because the motherboard's all one piece. There's not a lot you can do with that. Do not feel any exhaust. Yeah.
Okay.
Try
the other thing you can do, because there's no problem with turning on a computer with that back panel removed. Just prop it up sideways. Since you're not feeling any exhaust, you can turn it on with that back panel off and see if you see the fan spinning. If the fan's not spinning, there's your problem. $12 replacement part.
Yep, there it is. There, I'll show you the picture on the screen. There it is. Boom. Boom. $12. Lenovo, yeah, cool. It's the same. Yeah, it's the exact same fan we just saw, and easy to swap out. Relatively easy to swap out. So $12. You give that a try. Otherwise, at that point,
this is the same kind of fix I used to do on some of our work machines, where I'd have multiple dead work machines, but the fans would be fine. They died for other reasons, and someone would go, "Oh, my fan's not working anymore." And for me, it was a 5-minute swap out. So
if that doesn't do it, unfortunately, if it's the motherboard, then you'd have to replace the entire motherboard. You might find a used one, but
yeah, you might, at that point, you might take it to a shop and say, "Hey, can you diagnose what's wrong with it?" And see what they charge for just for the diagnose.
So I'm hoping the fan helps. I'm hoping to replace the fan, but it does seem like there may be an overheat issue. That's the first thing to check. Beyond that, there may be some serious issues that there's not a lot to do with it. So good luck. All right. That is going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you have tech questions for me and Mike, send those to requests at radiodeadair.com, and we'll try to help you out with them. In the meanwhile, for Mike and myself, we'll see you next week. Good night, folks.